Hey YouTube, I'm back today with another video for you guys. Today I'm going to be continuing the series of videos on the new Space Marines 6th Edition Codex. Today I'm going to be going over the HQs in this codex. If you didn't see the last video, there'll probably be an annotation somewhere on the screen telling you to go watch it. In that previous video I covered chapter tactics and warlord traits mainly. But yeah. This video is just going to be about all the HQs, my likes, my gripes, what chapter each one is for, and I'm going to go into the generic ones as well. There's quite a few HQs though, so if this video takes longer than it should, I apologize. Yeah, there's 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, there's 18 HQs in this codex. But something that I'm going to kick this off with, because of the chapter tactics in this codex, now if you're playing, I don't know, say you're playing Imperial Fists. In 5th edition, Imperial Fists could bring Marneus Calgar as their warlord. It doesn't matter, because there weren't any chapter tactics designating what HQs you could bring. Now, if you play Imperial Fists, you can bring Captain Lysander or Darnath Lysander, and you can bring any of the generic HQs. But you can't bring Marneus Calgar unless you play Ultramarines. So this really makes each chapter very, very specific and very, I don't know. Each chapter has a niche now, because if you're playing Salamanders, you can't use any HQ that isn't a Salamander or generic. And that really, it kind of disappoints me just because I want to see those kinds of lists. And of course, I'm sure there'll be someone out there who just says, alright, you and me are going to play, we're going to make a video out of this, and I get to use whatever HQs I want from the Space Marines Codex, no matter what army I use. I can pick a chapter tactic, and I can pick a warlord or an HQ, and it's not going to matter what chapter they're from. And those bat reps are going to be really fun to watch because they're not going to be normal. But it would be really nice if you could see a competitive list that you could use in tournaments using any of the HQs in this with a chapter that it doesn't work with. Personally, I think the way these HQs should have been set up, it should have been the Black Templar HQs should have been Black Templar HQs, because they couldn't bring any of the Space Marine ones before, so they shouldn't be able to bring them now. So it should have been Black Templars have their own little thing, and then all of the other chapters can just take from other chapters. That's just how I think it should be, because when someone, like, say you're going to play against someone and they say they're going to play Imperial Fists, and you're playing whatever, Xenos or something like that, and so because they said they're playing Imperial Fists, you know that they're going to bring one of, I don't know, one of 7 HQs, and you can really just tell they're going to bring, or I guess one of 8. Imperial Fists can also bring the Crimson Fists HQ, Pedro Cantor, but yeah, one of 8. And because 2 of those are named, and 2 of those are really good, you're going to know that they're probably going to bring one or the other. And if they're saying they're making a fluffy list that includes Imperial Fists, they are going to bring Darnath, which really sucks, because now Space Marines before, they were unpredictable. You didn't know what HQ someone's going to bring regardless of the chapter. And now they've made it really, really fluffy with all the HQs, and so it's not as it's going to be much more specific, and it's not as spontaneous. So that's my little rant for this section, but now we're going to get into this. Alright, so our first HQ is Marneus Calgar, as most of you probably already knew. He's pretty cool. He's really, really, really good. He might be the best HQ in this whole codex. I really like him. He has Artificer Armor, which gives him that 2-up armor save, and then he has an Iron Halo, which gives him a 4-up invul. That's just nice. I don't know. It's pretty cool. He has a preset Warlord trait, I guess. That's if he's in your primary detachment, he has to be your Warlord, and he gets to roll 3 times on the Warlord traits table on page 76, I think. He gets to roll 3 times on that table, and then you get to pick one, rerolling any duplicates. So he allows you to really tailor your I guess, tailor your list after you've already made it, because with other HQs, once you roll that Warlord trait, I mean, that's kind of what you have to go for, I guess, or ignore it completely. Me personally, if I don't play Ultramarines, like with the Ultramarines tactics, I'm not even going to bother. Like, I'm going to roll my Warlord trait, obviously, and if it happens to work with the list, that's great, but if it doesn't, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just not going to pay attention to it, because there's no point in paying attention to something that is just going to distract you, and it's not going to be a big help, except for maybe in a couple situations. Example. If I get I believe if you roll a 2 or a 3, I think it's a 3 on the Warlord Traits table, you get the Furious Charge, 1 use only. No, it's if you roll a 2, you get Furious Charge, 1 use only in one of your assault phases. I'm not going to move my army in a specific way just because I got that trait. I'm not going to let it control what my army does. With Calgar, you can control what the trait is, and you can control what your army does. So it's a little better to tailor your list because you get to roll 3 times on that table. He's only toughness 4, which is really stupid because, you know, it's average Space Marine toughness, and last time I checked, he's not an average Space Marine. But he does have Eternal Warrior, so he can't be just instant killed, which is cool, but I don't know, like, I feel like there's something is going to appear, and it's just going to mess him up because of his low toughness. I feel, what is that, a toughness test, I think? I think some things force toughness tests in the Chaos book. I think that's going to be the bane of his existence. He has Orbital Bombardment, which, for those of you who don't know, is a pretty cool little bomb that you get to drop on people. Once per game, you can call it down in your shooting phase. It counts as firing a ranged weapon, which means you can't, like, say you drop the Orbital Bombardment on a unit that is on the other side of the board from your Warlord and his unit. You can't assault a separate unit. You have to assault the unit that you bombard. You don't have to assault, but if you are going to assault, and that's a very key part of your turn, then I wouldn't bombard units that are far away. Personally, I think bombardment works best on the first turn because everything is still really close together on first turn. Even if you didn't get first turn, your opponent can't move. I mean, unless he's Dark Eldar, he can't move really, really far out and separate his units that fast. Especially if it's another Space Marine player or like any of the other Space Marine codexes like Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves. Those are going to be great for Orbital Bombardment because you definitely are going to be able to hit something. Because when you scatter with Orbital Bombardment, you scatter the full 2d6, regardless of ballistic skill. But it is a Strength 10 AP 1 barrage. So it's nice. It's also Ordnance, so that's cool too. It's just this free shot you get at the beginning of the game, because I wouldn't use it any other time, because once you get later into the game, your Warlord, if you're playing Space Marines, well, if you're playing Marneus anyways, he's going to be close to other units in proximity, because he's going to probably be getting into assault because he has some pretty good assault weapons, which we'll go over in a second. So I wouldn't put him in danger of that bombard. I would rather do it at the beginning of the game and maybe pop a vehicle or kill a whole unit. He also has God of War. Marneus Calgar and all friendly units with Chapter Tactics Ultramarines can choose whether to pass or fail any morale check they are called upon to make. Furthermore, if Marneus Calgar is your Warlord, you may use a single Combat Doctrine ability twice during the game. Note that you do not need to declare which ability you wish to use twice until you use it the second time. So that is a really nice ability just because you can run out of combat anytime you want, you can get back, you can stay in combat anytime you want, you can make sure you don't run away from shooting, you can make sure that you do run away from shooting because you get to choose when you pass or fail a test. It's just nice. It's just a nice thing to have because you can kind of direct your guys a little better, I guess. And then, you know, using a single Combat Doctrine ability twice is really nice. Oh, that rhymes. It's cool because the Space Marine Chapter Tactics, I went over them in the previous video, so go check that out if you don't know about them already. I'm not going to go over them again. there are 3 of them, and there's Tactical, Assault, and Devastator. So depending on what unit you really want to buff, I guess, you can choose to use one twice. Which actually, I think for Calgar, he's what really makes the tactics work well at all. If you're playing Ultramarines and you want to use your tactics well, I would go with this guy. Yeah, and that also with that morale check, it's nice because he's not fearless. I don't know why not, but he's just not fearless. Apparently, the chapter master of the Ultramarines can be corrupted. I don't like that at all. I think he should be fearless. A lot of people should be fearless in this codex, and like I don't think any of the HQs are. It's really stupid. He also has Titanic Might. Marneus Calgar rerolls failed armor pen rolls against vehicles in close combat, and can choose to reroll glancing hits in an attempt to get a pen. You must accept a second roll, even if it is worse than the first. So, essentially, he's good against vehicles in close combat, but he's good in close combat either way. So, you know, if you want to be a boss in close combat, you can do that. That's just something you can do. For his chapter relics, he has a couple of them. Well, I guess technically he has a couple of them. He has the Gauntlets of Ultramar. They're melee weapons, right? And you can either take 1 or 2. They're fists, right? And if you take 1, the other weapon he has is a power sword. But if you take 2, you get some cool benefits. Each fist is strength times 2, AP2, melee, unwieldy. So he's initiative 1 when he strikes with it, right? And if you have 2, you can use them both combined as a ranged weapon. So essentially, you're going to have him standing like this, and then he goes like this, shoots. I guess that's how it works. I don't know. But essentially, his ranged weapon is an AP2 Stormbolter. So, bye Terminators. Bye-bye. That's really nice. He has 1 upgrade available, which is really weird because the most expensive HQ in the whole entire codex can take an upgrade, and there's some cheaper ones that can't. I don't know. I just thought it was weird. It's the armor of Antilochus or Antilocus. It's a suit of Terminator armor that does not prevent sweeping advances and includes a teleport armor. That's a nice upgrade, and it's way it's worth the cost. If you're bringing any sort of Terminators, it's worth the cost because if you deep strike any Terminators within 6 inches of a model that has a teleport armor, they don't scatter at all, which makes Terminators really good because you can deep strike on turn 2. So, you have Marneus Calgar there, and say you put him in a, I guess you could put him in a, I don't know, if he has Terminator armor, Land Raider, you could put him in a Land Raider with some Terminators already in it, and then drive the Land Raider up, and then have him get out, and then have Terminators deep strike near him because they can't move as fast as a Land Raider can, and they're up there. Or you can do it later in the game when he's further up the field. It's just a nice little thing to have. So that's pretty much it for Calgar. He's good. He's really good for the cost. Now we're going to go into Captain Sicarius. Again, he's only for Ultramarines. Can't bring him with any other chapter, unless it's a successor of the Ultramarines. Now, Sicarius has some nice abilities too. He's one of the only reasons why I would run Ultramarines. Pretty much the 3 of the 4 Ultramarines HQs are really, really good, and those are the only reasons why I would ever run Ultramarines tactics. Now, Sicarius has a preset warlord trait, which is the Imperium Sword, which is that one-use only Furious Charge. I really hate that they did that because preset warlord traits suck, because he has to have that. You have no hope of getting that 6 and having him be a warlord hunter. You have no hope of him having fear or anything else. And, I mean, none of them are really good, per se, so it's not like a huge loss. It's just not a game. For his special rules, he's not fearless, again, which sucks. He has Artificer Armor and an Iron Halo, so he has the same save that Marneus does. He has Battle-Forged Heroes, which allows him to give 1 Tactical Marine Squad a special rule listed, one of these special rules, during deployment. So any TAC squad, 5-man, 10-man, doesn't matter. As long as it's under his control, he gives them either counterattack, infiltrate, scout, or tank hunters. So I'm going to go into those a little bit. Giving a attack squad counterattack only works if you know they're going to be up the field and you know the enemy is going to try to assault you. If you're playing Eldar, you don't take it. There's no reason for it. If you're taking Infiltrate, I feel like that's just going to get your guys shot up unless you see a particularly good place to infiltrate your guys where they're not seen or something. Scout, it's okay. Most of your attack marines they should be in a transport, so that's probably not going to be a huge help to you. And then tank hunters, you don't have a lot of awesome weapons in attack marine squads. You can, at the most, you can take I think a heavy weapon and a special weapon. So I don't see any need for that because you have two guys that can maybe kill a transport or a vehicle if you have the right gun and the right strength and they're the right armor. So I wouldn't risk it on tank hunters. I would take one of the other three, and it just depends on the situation. But it's nice that they give you that little ability there. He also has Rites of Battle. Everyone with Chapter Tactics Ultramarines, as long as he's on the field, everyone with Chapter Tactics Ultramarines uses his leadership for morale or pinning. Of course, he's leadership 10 because he's an HQ, and all the HQs, I think, are leadership 10 in this codex. So that's cool. It essentially gives him an extra warlord trait because there's the one where it's like if you're within 12 inches of the warlord, you use his leadership for morale or pinning or whatever. So, but his is better because it's everyone with his Chapter Tactics. So that's nice. He essentially has two warlord traits, and one of them is better than the actual warlord trait. He also has Surprise Attack. If he is on the battlefield, you gain +1 to your reserve rolls. That's cool because you don't have to roll as high, you have a better chance of stuff getting in, and it works really well with Chief Librarian Tigurius, who's the next HQ we're going to talk about in a second. For his Chapter Relics, Sicarius has Artificer Armor. It's the Mantle of Suzerain, and it gives him Feel No Pain. So he has a 2-up save, 4-up invuln, and Feel No Pain. He also has the Talisarian Tempest Blade. Strength user, AP3, Coup de Grace. Now the Coup de Grace allows him to make a single Coup de Grace attack instead of his normal attacks. So, on the charge, 4 attacks, or you can choose to have 1 attack, and it gains +2 strength and instant death when you choose to do that. You can use that as many times as you want. If you want to do it every turn, you can do that. So that's kind of cool. It makes him a little more versatile. So that's nice. Oh, and especially, I guess, with Furious Charge, that would help with that too if you wanted to use his stronger version, I guess. That's it for Sicarius. Now, Chief Librarian Tigurius, he's only for Ultramarines yet again, so no one else can bring him. Which it especially sucks that no one else can bring this guy because he's like the best psyker I've ever seen. Except for I think there might be like someone in the Eldar Codex that matches him, but he's really good for the points. So he has Power Armor, which is okay. He has a preset Warlord trait, which is Storm of Fire. I think that's it's a one-use only. Someone within 12 inches of him that has his tactics can become twin-linked. So, and then he's Psyker Mastery level 3, which is nice. It's very nice for his point cost. But he does have the gift of Prescience. If your army contains Tigurius, you can choose to reroll any reserve rolls that apply to units from the same detachment, even successful ones. So, if you're using Tigurius and Sicarius at the same time, you're going to need to roll 1 less than you usually would. So I think that's a 3. And then you get to reroll. So your stuff is coming in turn 2. If you want all your stuff in turn 2, it comes in. That's just how it's going to work when you use these two guys. Unless you have extremely bad luck, in which case turn 3 probably. He also has Master Psyker. When generating psychic powers, Tigurius may reroll any or all of the dice to see which powers he knows. That's a nice ability because you get to, like if you roll 1 good one and 2 really crappy abilities, then you can kind of be like, I want to reroll those, fix those, and then he's good. He does generate his powers from Biomancy, Divination, Pyromancy, Telekinesis, and Telepathy. He's got it all. He's awesome. He's not fearless, which, again, it's just weird that, like, no one is fearless. For his Chapter Relics, he has 2 of them. he has the Hood of Hellfire. It's a psychic hood that enables him to reroll failed psychic tests. That's really nice. But I doubt he'll be failing very often. But when he does, you can just know he didn't fail at all. He also has the Rod of Tigurius. It's a Strength +2, AP4, melee, mastercrafted force weapon with concussive and soul blaze. That's a mouthful. He's good at melee, which is weird because they gave him an ability that lets other people become twin linked. I don't know. That's weird. He's so good though. I don't know. He's just good. I don't know what else to say. And our last Ultramarines HQ, he got the short end of the stick by far. It's insane how bad he is. Chaplain Cassius. Now, Chaplain Cassius, because he is a chaplain, he has the Crozius Arcanum and the Rosarius, which is what every single chaplain has, so there's nothing special there. Now, he doesn't have Fearless, so that's a thing. He does have a Feel No Pain. He has Preferred Enemy Tyranids. He has Zealot, which I believe grants Hatred. His preset Warlord trait is the one if you roll a 1, you gain Fear, so he has Fear. That's kind of like they gave him a 1. Like, he sucks this bad. He rolls a 1 no matter what. It's pretty bad. He has Power Armor, so 3-up armor save. For his Chapter Relic, it's a weird bolter with Hellfire rounds, but it's called the Infernus because it's a bolter with Hellfire rounds, which is poisoned on the 2-up, so you're always going to wound on the 2, and it's mastercrafted. But once per game, it can become a Flamer that's the same profile as a bolter, except 1 shot. So it's either a Flamer or a bolter with Hellfire rounds. Yeah. He's toughness 6, so he can't be insta-killed. That's pretty much it for him. And he costs he costs 35 points less than Tigurius, and I would rather pay the extra 35 and get all of those special psychic powers than just stick with Cassius, who's, I don't know, I'm not crazy about him. It's like they just gave him, they're like, alright, so you automatically roll a 1 on the Warlord traits table when you have him, and your preferred enemy NIDS because you need that ability for some reason. Also, you have Fear, because everyone's fearless. Like, I don't even know. I don't know why they put him in this if they were going to make him that bad. I literally see no way for him to be good. There's nothing he has that entices me to bring him, except for he's kind of cheap, but other HQs are so much better for the price. So that's it for the Ultramarines HQs, and if you think it's going to get better, it isn't, because the Ultramarines got the best ones, because they're Ultramarines, which is why it kind of upsets me that, you know, other chapters can't bring them. We're going to move on to the White Scars. They have one named HQ, which is Corsario Khan. He's pretty cool, and he costs, I believe he costs less than Chaplain Cassius, and after you hear what he has, you're going to really be questioning why Cassius is even in here. So, Corsario Khan, he has Power Armor and an Iron Halo, so he's got a 3-up, 4-up. His preset Warlord trait is Champion of Humanity, which I believe is the, if you roll a 6, so he automatically rolls a 6 on his Warlord traits, which is nice. Yeah. He has Furious Charge as just a special rule that he can use whenever. He has Master of the Hunt. If he is your Warlord, friendly models with Chapter Tactics White Scars that are bikes or dedicated transports have the Scout special rule. So, of course, because he's White Scars, he's going to buff bikes, but I really like that he buffs transports as well. That's pretty cool. He has one Chapter Relic, one Chapter Relic, Moonfang. It's a melee weapon. It's Strength User, AP3, Prey's Bane, which is Prey, like Prey, Prey's Bane. So it's in the possession of Prey, I guess. I don't know. If Corsario Khan rolls a 6 to wound, that wound has instant death. That's nice because it's an instant death. Well, I guess, I don't know. It's not really rending. It's just like, yeah, instant death on a 6. and it's other than that, it's the same profile as Sicarius blade. He can take one upgrade, which is a Space Marine bike named Moondraken. When he rides Moondraken, he has Hammer of Wrath, though he inflicts D3 hits with his attack instead of the usual 1. So he's really good on the charge. He's really good in close combat in general. And then he's got that blade thing. Also, when he rides Moondraken, he makes bike squads of 5 men or more troop choices. That's cool. Bikes are just really good in this edition, so White Scars are going to be really good in this edition. And he lets you bring bikes as troops if you have 5 models in the squad. And, okay, if you're running Corsaro Khan, which he's a viable choice. He's definitely a viable choice. You're going to run bikes. There's no reason why you wouldn't. So that's it for him. Again, costs a little less than Cassius, I believe. So I don't really see a point in bringing Cassius when you can just bring Khan. Now we're going to move on to the Salamanders. The only named HQ for them is Vulcan Heston. He's cool. Very, very cool. He has Artificer armor, which is nice. He has a preset warlord trait, Iron Resolve, which I believe is the roll of 5. Yeah, when determining assault results, add 1 to your total if he's locked in that combat. That's nice. He has the Forge Father. If he is your warlord, all Meltaguns, Combi Meltas, and Multi-Meltas wielded by models in this detachment have Master Crafted. So it basically just upgrades your chapter tactic, because one of the Salamander's chapter tactics is that all of your characters get to choose one of their weapons to become Mastercrafted, I believe. So he makes every single Meltagun, Combi Melta, and Multi-Melta Mastercrafted. So that's nice. So tac squads, just put Meltas. Assault squads, put Meltas. Just Melta everything. He has a couple chapter relics. The first one is Gauntlet of the Forge. The Gauntlet of the Forge is a heavy flamer that incorporates a set of digital weapons. So, digital weapons. A model armed with digital weapons can reroll a single failed to wound roll in each assault phase. So, that's cool. He's good at assault. He also has Casares Mantle, or Casares Mantle. It confers a 3-up invuln. So he essentially has a Storm Shield without having a Storm Shield. He also has the Spear of Vulcan. It's a Strength +2, AP3, Mastercrafted, 2-handed melee weapon. So that's really nice. And if I remember correctly, he doesn't cost too much either. No, he costs a little more than Sicarius does. So that's pretty good. But that's it for the Salamanders HQ. Now we're into the Raven Guard. Shadow Captain Shrike, or Shriek. I'm going to call him Shriek, because that sounds better. But yeah, he's the only named HQ for the Raven Guard. He is jump infantry, which is nice. It's Raven Guard, so he better be. He has power armor, Iron Halo, and of course a jump pack. His preset warlord trait is it's Angel of Death, so I think I know which one that is. I think, is that the first roll of 1? Yeah, he automatically rolls a 1 on the warlord traits table, which is really stupid, if you ask me. He has fear, like, meh. I feel like Fury's Charge would have worked a lot better with him, but you know, it's whatever. He also has See but Remain Unseen. Shriek has the Stealth and Infiltrate special rules. Before deploying, he may only join squads of jump infantry. That's cool. He can join jump infantry squads only. So he's always going to get to use jump pack. You can't make him not use it, because you can't join a squad that doesn't have jump packs. He has, I guess, technically 2 chapter relics. The Raven's Talons. Each Raven's Talon can be used as a melee weapon. Strength user, AP3, Mastercrafted, Rending, and Shred. That's nice. They look like lightning claws, so that's pretty cool. He costs just as much as Captain Sicarius, though, and I feel like Sicarius does a lot more, because I was expecting for Shriek to be able to allow, because, well, let me explain. Corsaro Khan from the White Scars makes Bike Squad's troops if you give him an upgrade. I figured Shriek would come standard without a jump pack, and then you would pay X amount of points for a jump pack, and when you pay for that, the assault squads would become troops. Unfortunately, he doesn't make assault squads troops, which doesn't make any sense to me because Raven Guard are really good with assault squads, so if Blood Angels can do it, why can't Raven Guard do it? Also, no one else in this codex makes assault squads troops, so if you're thinking about running assault squads as troops, stick with Blood Angels because they're the only ones that can do it. Kind of disappointing, especially for his point cost. So I guess you would run him if you were doing a fluffy list, but he costs a little too much to be worth it. Now we're moving into the Imperial Fists. We have Captain Lysander, and technically there are two HQs that you can bring that are named for the Imperial Fists. There's a Crimson Fist HQ and an Imperial Fist HQ. So Captain Lysander, or Darnath Lysander, as he was called in the last codex. I don't know why they changed his name. Maybe he became captain somewhere along the way. He has Terminator armor, an Iron Halo, and a Storm Shield. I don't know why he has all of that, because he has a 2-up save, a 5-up invuln, a 4-up invuln, and a 3-up invuln. Okay, that makes sense, because you need 3 invulns. Okay. He has Champion of Humanity as his automatic Warlord trait, which is the Warlord hunting one. It's, when you kill a Warlord in a challenge, the enemy Warlord in a challenge, you gain plus D3 victory points, in addition to the one you automatically score for slaying the Warlord. So that's cool. He's not fearless either, which is kind of stupid. He is Eternal Warrior, which is good because he's toughness 4. There's a lot of people that need Eternal Warrior that just don't have it. Like, the only people that have Eternal Warrior so far that I've named are Marneus Calgar and Lysander. So, be aware of that, because these HQs are going to be getting insta-killed all over the place. Unless you're bringing someone that has Eternal Warrior. He also has the Icon of Obstinacy. If Lysander is your Warlord, all friendly units with Chapter Tactics Imperial Fists within 12 inches of him reroll failed morale and pinning tests. It's kind of like the Warlord trait that lets you do something like that, except you don't reroll, you just use their leadership. But yeah, he just has a 12-inch bubble around him that lets everybody reroll their failed morale checks. He has one Chapter Relic. It's the Fist of Dorn. I don't know why it's called the Fist of Dorn, I guess. I don't know. Well, it is a hammer that has a fist on the end, so probably makes sense. It's a melee weapon, strength 10, AP 1, mastercrafted, concussive, specialist weapon, and unwieldy. I don't know why it needed to be specialist, though, because he's never going to be able to not use that. Okay. So that's it for him. He's good in close combat. That's pretty much one-trick pony kind of guy. I don't believe, he costs way too much. Yeah. In my eyes, anyways, he costs too much. He costs more than a Terminator squad with Storm Shields and Thunderhammers. So, for the price of Lysander, you could bring a whole squad of Terminators, all with Storm Shields and Thunderhammers, and it would still cost less than him. Alright, now we have Pedro Cantor, which is for the Crimson Fists, but because Crimson Fists don't really have their own thing, you can use it with your Imperial Fists army. Now, he has Power Armor and an Iron Halo, so that's cool. 3-up, 4-up. And then he has a Power Fist. His automatic Warlord trait is Iron Resolve, which, if I remember correctly, is the roll of a 5. Yeah. When determining assault results, add 1 to your total if he is locked in that combat. I don't like preset Warlord traits, but yeah. He has Orbital Bombardment. It's kind of weird that he got it and Lysander didn't, because if anyone needed it, I think Lysander did. He costs too much, like I said. So Orbital Bombardment, it's the same thing that Calgar has, Strength 10, AP 1, Large Blast. I would suggest using that on first turn. Now he has the Oath of Rin, which states, if he is your Warlord, all friendly models in Crimson Fist detachments have preferred enemy orcs. Furthermore, all such models within 12 inches of Cantor receive +1 attack while he lives. This bonus does not apply to Cantor and is not cumulative with a similar bonus from a chapter banner. So he gives everyone a +1 attack if they're within 12 inches of him. He gives everyone in his army preferred enemy orcs. And yeah, that's kind of it for that. He has Hold the Line. Friendly units of Crimson Fist Sternguard veterans are scoring units if your army includes Pedro Cantor. So that's cool that he makes Sternguard scoring. No one else in the whole codex can do that, which makes Imperial Fists that much better, which makes Crimson Fist that much better, and which makes Pedro that much better. I think he did that in last edition though, but it's nice that they kept it around. He has one chapter relic, Dorn's Arrow. It's a Stormbolter, but it's AP 4 and it's Assault 4. The rest of it is the same as a Stormbolter. So he's really weird with 4s. He isn't Eternal Warrior either, so yeah. He's going to get insta-killed really easily because he's only toughness 4. So a Melta can insta-kill him. Pretty much, if you're playing Eldar, you just insta-kill him. That's just what happens. So that kind of sucks. Now we're into the Black Templars. So the Black Templars got a lot of stuff in this codex, but nothing compared to what they had. So for people that play Space Marines that don't play Black Templars, they think, oh wow, Black Templars got way too much in this codex. For people who actually play Black Templars and saw the old codex, from what I've heard, it seems like they got a lot of stuff taken away. So first we have High Marshal Helbricht. He has an Artificer Armor, a Combi Melta, and an Iron Halo. His preset Warlord trait is the Imperium Sword, which I believe is the Furious Charge one, but we're going to check it anyways. Yeah, Furious Charge, 1 use only. He has Crusade of Wrath. Once per game at the beginning of your assault phase, Helbricht can grant all friendly models that have Chapter Tactics Black Templar special rule, the Hatred and Fleet special rules until the end of the phase. So I think he's the only person that I approve of that preset Warlord trait thing, because if you use Imperium Sword, which gives you Furious Charge, 1 use only, and then you use Crusade of Wrath, you have Furious Charge, Hatred, and Fleet until the end of the assault phase. So you'll be doing pretty well. So I would suggest using both of those at the same time, just to destroy everything, or, I don't know, you could spread them out if you wanted to. He has he has 1 chapter relic. It's the Sword of the High Marshals. Strength user, AP 3. It has Legacy of Dorn, and it's also mastercrafted. Legacy of Dorn says that the Sword of the High Marshals gives Helbricht a charge bonus of D3 attacks instead of 1. So he's just good in assault. You just want to put him out there and get him into assault really fast. He is not Eternal Warrior, and he is toughness 4, so again, lots of things can insta-kill him, as with a lot of these HQs. Now we're moving on to Grimaldus, or Chaplain Grimaldus. He has power armor, so 3-up save. He has the Rosarius, Crozius Arcanum, and a mastercrafted plasma pistol. So, yeah. His preset Warlord trait is Rites of War. We're going to check out what that is. When taking morale tests, friendly units from Codex Space Marines within 12 inches of the Warlord use his leadership characteristic instead of their own. So he has a 12-inch bubble where everyone is leadership 10. He has It Will Not Die, and Zealot, which I believe gives him Hatred. I'm not completely sure, though. So, I'm not sure. Yeah. He has Unmatched Zeal. Friendly models with Chapter Tactics Black Templars within 6 inches of the Warlord, or of Chaplain Grimaldus, rather, have Zealot. So he gives everyone Zealot as well as having Zealot. That's nice. I think he can still be insta-killed, though. He's toughness 4, but I don't know. It Will Not Die. I forget what that does. So, yeah. Now we have the Emperor's Champion. I believe in the previous edition of the Black Templars Codex, which was 4th edition, by the way, I think he had to be, you had to bring him in addition to another HQ, because he couldn't be a Warlord, but he was required or something. I don't know. Ask someone who plays Templars. He is fearless. Wow. first HQ that's fearless. That is just, I don't even know. I don't even know what to, I mean, let's just a round of applause for Templars, right? So yeah, he's the only fearless HQ, I think. I don't know. If I find another one, I'll let you guys know. He has Slayer of Champions. The Emperor's Champion must issue and accept a challenge whenever possible. If you have several models with that special rule with this effect, the Emperor's Champion must issue or accept the challenge. When fighting in a challenge, the Emperor's Champion must choose a stance, either smite the unclean or slay the heretic at the start of the fighting subphases. The chosen stance lasts until the end of the challenge. So, he has to accept challenges when he's given them. He has to issue challenges when he can. So, he's always in a challenge. He's always in a challenge. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing, though. I wouldn't want especially if he's your warlord, I wouldn't want him in a challenge all the time. Especially because he doesn't have a preset warlord trait. So if he had that, I think he should have preset Champion of Humanity. That would be really nice because he'd be really good at hunting warlords. So now for the two stances. If he chooses Smite the Unclean, the Emperor's Champion has +2 strength, and his black sword gains two-handed and unwieldy. If he chooses Slay the Heretic, to wound rolls of 6 have instant death. That's it. So essentially you can just pick either really strong but you're going to hit last, or slightly weaker and you're going to hit maybe first. So personally, I would use Smite the Unclean to become unwieldy when I'm facing Eldar or someone else that has higher initiative anyways. Because if they have higher initiative than you, then there's no point in you just going. You're going to go after them either way. So I would just base that on that. Mainly, if you think you can survive the attacks, then obviously just sit there and take it, because he does have a 2-up save, and that is because of his chapter relic. One of his chapter relics. It's the Armor of Faith. It gives him a 2-up armor save and a 4-up invuln. I don't know why he needed a relic for that, because they could have just given him Artificer Armor and Iron Halo. He also has the Black Sword, which is that awesome weapon. It's Strength User, AP2, Mastercrafted. So on its own, it's already good, because it's AP2 and Mastercrafted. So, yeah. That's it for the Black Templars HQs. But something I wanted to mention about them, when you bring Grimaldus, you can bring Cenobite Servitors. Apparently they're not as good as they once were, though I really don't know what their thing is. I know they have a special rule, which is, hold on, Relics of Hell's Reach. Friendly models with the Chapter Tactics Black Templar special rule within 6 inches of one or more Cenobite Servitors have a 6-up invulnerable save. It's okay. I mean, for their points, it's just essentially an upgrade. They don't cost enough to even... you can bring 5 of them maximum, because you can only bring 1 unit of Cenobite Servitors. So, it's not too bad. It's just an upgrade to buff people, because they're, I don't know, I guess if you wanted to put cannon fodder in front of Grimaldus, you could do that, but yeah. So our next HQ, the Chapter Master. He's generic, and anyone can bring him. He is not fearless, but he does have orbital bombardment, which is nice. He does cost just as much as Cassius, so again, another better option than Cassius. He has power armor and an iron halo, so 3-up, 4-up. He comes standard with bolt pistol chainsword, so I would definitely replace those. I would just replace those in general. You can give him a relic blade, you can give him a storm shield, a bolt gun, you can give him artificer armor. He can take items from melee weapons, ranged weapons, special issue war gear, or chapter relics. Chapter relics are really nice. I'll get to those in a second. He may replace his power armor, bolt pistol, chainsword, frag, and crack grenades with Terminator armor, storm bolter, and power sword. If he's in Terminator armor, he may only take items from Terminator weapons, special issue war gear, and/or chapter relics. Also, if you put him on a Space Marine bike squads of at least 5 models may be taking as troop choices instead of fast attack. So, if you're playing White Scars, you have a lot of options, because Chapter Master isn't the only one that can do that. Khan can obviously do that, which we already went over, but the Chapter Master just costs a little bit more, and you can give him relics, and he can be on a bike. So I would definitely think about that as a choice. The Chapter Relics, There are 5 of them. You can only take 1 per army. It's a new thing in this codex, I think. And it has to replace like your armor or your weapon or whatever you're replacing. So, yeah, we're going to go over those. The first one is the Burning Blade. It's a melee weapon that's strength +3, AP2, and incandescent. So, yeah, it costs quite a few points. Costs more than a Terminator, I'll tell you that. There's the Armor Indomitus. It confers a 2-up armor save, a 6-up invulnerable save, and relentless. Once per game, at the beginning of any phase, the wearer can choose to temporarily push the armor's force field to its limit. For the duration of that phase only, the Armor Indomitus confers a 2-up invulnerable save. So, you can get a 2-up invuln once per game in one phase only, but you have a 2-up armor save the whole game, 6-up invuln the whole game, and relentless. So, that's nice. There's the Shield Eternal. By the way, the Armor Indomitus is more expensive than the Burning Blade, for those of you who are curious. Again, costs more than a Terminator. A lot more than a Terminator. It's a Terminator and a half, essentially. The Shield Eternal is a Storm Shield. In addition, the bearer of the Shield Eternal gains Adamantium Will and Eternal Warrior. Shield Eternal is slightly less than the Burning Blade as far as cost goes, so, yeah. Then we have the Primarch's Wrath. It's a ranged weapon. It's like a Stormbolter, except it's AP4, Salvo 3/5, Shred, and Mastercrafted. Now that's a good deal. I would consider bringing that because it only costs half a Terminator. So, yeah. Teeth of Terra is the next relic. It's a Strength +2, AP3, melee rampage specialist weapon with strike down. That is definitely worth it, I think. Costs less than the Burning Blade and the Shield Eternal, so that's cool. Almost as much as the Terminator. Then we have the Standard of Emperor Ascendant. Friendly units within 12 inches of the bearer and with the same chapter tactics reroll failed morale checks and pinning tests if they're within 12 inches of the guy who has the standard. In addition, friendly units chosen from Codex Space Marines within 6 inches of the bearer have hatred and add 1 to their total when determining assault results. Furthermore, the bearer of the Standard of the Emperor Ascendant and his unit have fear. It's essentially just a bunch of stacked warlord traits, but yeah. That's kind of weird, though. I'm not even seeing it on here. It's like not in the... Yeah, that's really weird. You can't... I don't know. I guess it's free? I have no idea. That's really weird. There's no point cost for it on the war gear. Point that out to me if you can, if you know where it is, for the Standard of the Emperor Ascendant. Something to note about the Armor Indomitus, that's the 2-up armor, 6-up invuln, and relentless. If the guy's wearing Terminator armor, you can't replace the Terminator armor with it, and you do not replace one of your weapons with it. So, all the other ones you replace a weapon with, apparently. So, yeah, that's it for the Chapter Master. We have the Honor Guard. For every Chapter Master in your army, you can bring 1 unit of Honor Guard. Marnius Calgar can bring 3 units of Honor Guard, which is nice. Also, Pedro Cantor and High Marshal Helbricht can each bring 1, so that's cool. It does not use up a Force Word slot, so yeah. They're pretty good. They're nice. They all have Artificer armor, a power weapon, bolt pistol, bolt gun. Yeah, so that's nice. Oh, they can bring the Standard of the Emperor Ascendant. Okay, now I see it. Okay, yeah, the point cost is pretty high on that. That's a Terminator and a Storm Shield, I think. Maybe, I don't know. It's a Terminator and something. There's some change left over. So yeah, also you can give them a Drop Pod, Rhino, or Razorback as a dedicated for the Honor Guard. And because you can make each Honor Guard unit 10 man. If you bring Marnius, you can bring 30 honor guard. I don't know, 30 honor guard blob if you want to. That's cool. I think that's a good way to go, considering how good they are, and they don't cost too much. So yeah, I would consider that a viable option. Our next HQ is the standard captain. Anyone can bring a captain. He's pretty standard. You know, he's got a power armor and an iron halo, so 3 up, 4 up. Bolt pistol, chainsword. He's not fearless, of course. He can have a bolt gun, a relic blade, storm shield, artificer armor. He can also take from the relics, melee weapons, ranged weapons, or special issue war gear. If you put him on a bike squads of at least 5 models may be taking his troop choices instead of fast attack. So that's a nice ability, just because he can also do it, and he costs a lot less. He costs 40 points less than the Chapter Master, but he does not have Orbital Bombardment, unfortunately. Let's check out how much that bike would cost. Okay, yeah, no, he would end up costing 20 points less if you put him on a bike. So, like, if you have a Chapter Master with no upgrades, and then you have a Captain on a bike, the Captain on the bike still costs 10 points less, or 20 points. No? 20 points less than a Chapter Master. So, another viable option for bikes, another viable option for White Scars. Again, bikes are just really good in this edition. Next, we have a Terminator Captain, which is, he's just like a Terminator. I mean, just like a Captain, but with Terminator armor. So yeah, all of these general HQs don't have Eternal Warrior, so they all can all be insta killed. Kind of sucks. But most of them have invulns, so I don't know. Yeah, the only difference between the Terminator Captain, and the regular Captain is, of course, Terminator Captain cannot be on a bike just because he's in Terminator armor. He can take items from Terminator weapons, special issue war gear, and or chapter relics. I would suggest giving him that cool shield thing. But yeah, he's not fearless, and he can be insta-killed just as easily. Then we have a command squad. For each captain, librarian, or chaplain in your army, that includes Sicarius, Tigurius, Cassius, Khan, Heston, or Vulcan, Shadow Captain Shriek, Lysander, and Chaplain Grimaldus. For any of those, you can bring one command squad. They're pretty cheap. They have power armor, so 3 up saves, no invuln. You can bring the standard of the Emperor Ascendant, which is, again, 1 per army because it's a relic. Costs quite a bit, though. I'm not sure if I would be willing to bring that. But yeah, just 1 for each of your kind of HQ guys. Yeah, they can take a Drop Pod, Rhino, or Razorback as a dedicated, and they have tons of upgrades that I won't go over. Now we have the Librarian. Librarian went down quite a bit in cost. Now the Librarian costs, it's essentially a Terminator and a half. So, well, if you wanted to be really exact, Terminator and a half plus 5 points. I don't want to say the exact point cost for copyright, whatever, Games Workshop, you know. So yeah. Librarian, of course, has power armor, bolt pistol, force weapon, and psychic hood. The Librarian is only mastery level 1, but there's a pretty cheap upgrade where you can make him mastery level 2, which is only about half a Terminator for the price. I don't know why I'm relating all these points to Terminators. He generates powers from Biomancy, Pyromancy, Telekinesis, and Telepathy, so 4 of the disciplines, as opposed to Tigurius, who generates from like 6 or something. I don't even know. But you can give the Librarian bolt gun, ranged weapons, special issue war gear, chapter relics, Terminator armor. So that's cool. Also, Black Templars cannot take Librarians. That special thing is called Abhor the Witch. Librarians may not be included in detachments of Black Templars. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's really weird. They don't have Psychers, though, so it makes sense. Next, we have the Standard Chaplain, which is cool. Yeah, he's okay. He has a Crozius Arcanum, Rosarius, power armor, and a bolt pistol, so no invuln there. He does have Zealot. He can have a bolt gun, a power fist, ranged weapons, special issue war gear, chapter relics, Terminator armor, all that kind of stuff. I think he'd be good for salamanders, just because if you put him in Terminator armor, you can give him a combi melta, and then it's master crafted because of your if you bring Vulcan. So yeah, I don't know, but I'd much rather take a standard chaplain than rather than Cassius, because Cassius costs 40 points more than a chaplain, and with that 40 points, you can do a lot. I mean, you could do a regular chaplain, give him one of the relics that gives them an invuln, like a 3-up invuln or something, and then you have a 3-up no matter what, and you're awesome, you know? And I think you can put a jump pack on him, too. Yeah, you can put a jump pack on him very cheap. So yeah, I would definitely consider using a regular chaplain over Cassius. Even though regular chaplains can be insta-killed, but all the general HQs can be unless you, I don't know, upgrade them. I think that's it, yeah, for that page. Now, the very last HQ we're going to talk about in today's video. Sorry, this video has been extremely long, but HQ is the longest section and kind of the most boring. Most of the time, HQs don't get updated that much, but yeah. So we have the Master of the Forge. He has Artificer armor, he has a bolt pistol, bolt gun, and a servo harness. He has They Shall Know No Fear, Blessing of the Omnissa, Bolter Defenses, Chapter Tactics, and Independent Character. He can take weapons from melee, ranged, special issue war gear, and or chapter relics. He can have a conversion beamer or a power axe. If a detachment includes Master of the Forge, Dreadnoughts, Venerable Dreadnoughts, and Ironclad Dreadnoughts, may be taken as heavy support choices as well as elites choices in that detachment. So if I remember correctly, they're just really good at repairing things. So in each of your shooting phases, because of Blessing of the Omnissa, instead of firing any weapons, a single character with this special rule may choose to repair a single friendly vehicle that he is in base contact with or embarked upon. To repair a vehicle, roll a d6 and add the following modifiers where applicable. So you add +1 for each servitor with a servo arm in this unit, and you add +1 if they have a servo harness. So just plain standard Master of the Forge is going to get a +1 because he has a servo harness. If the result is 5 or more, you may either restore a hull point lost earlier in battle or repair a weapon destroyed or immobilized result suffered earlier in the battle. This is effective immediately. So you essentially, standard with a Master of the Forge, you have a 50-50 chance of repairing the vehicle. 4-up is where you repair the vehicle because you have a +1 modifier. Now, bolster defenses. Not bolter defenses. I'm sorry I said that. Bolster defenses. After deployment, but before scout redeployments and infiltrate deployments, nominate one piece of terrain in your deployment zone. This may not be one you have purchased as part of your army. The terrain piece's cover save is increased by 1 for the duration of that game, to a maximum of a 3+. Note that a piece of terrain can only be bolstered once. So that makes it interesting. You can pick one random ruin and make it a 3-up save, or you can pick a random piece of crap and make it a 4-up save. Or, yeah. So that's nice. Masters of the Forge are pretty cool. Then we have Tech Marines, which are a subsection after the Master of the Forge. It says for each HQ choice in your army, not including other Tech Marines, Servitors, Command Squads, or Honor Guard, you may purchase a Tech Marine. These do not take up a force org. So, Tech Marines have a servo arm and mind lock. Unless it also contains a Master of the Forge or Tech Marine, an unengaged unit that contains at least one model with this special rule must roll a d6 at the start of the turn. On the roll of a 4+, this special rule has no effect this turn. On a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, the unit is mind-locked at the start of their following turn. Mind-locked unit may not voluntarily move, shoot, or charge, but must still complete compulsory moves such as pile in and fall back. So I wouldn't suggest bringing a Tech Marine unless you bring a Master of the Forge. So, wait, hold on. An unengaged unit that contains at least one model with this special rule. Okay, yeah, so if you bring a Master of the Forge, you can bring a Tech Marine, but if you just bring one lonely Tech Marine because you have another HQ in your army, it's probably not a good idea because he's gonna get mind locked half of the time. But if you bring a Tech Marine, he doesn't even have to roll. He does have Artificer Armor. He does have Blessing of the Omnissa. So, he also has a servo arm. So, because he has a servo arm and the Master of the Forge has a servo harness, they're going to get a +2 to the roll, and you need to roll a 3 up to repair vehicles. Now, if you bring a couple more, you can... So, if you bring 3 Tech Marines and a Master of the Forge, you're going to get a +1, 2, 3, 4 to your roll. You have to roll a 1 in order to repair a vehicle. If you want to put in 290 points into vehicle repairs, that's cool. But yeah, that's how much it would cost to do that. Then we have Servitors. You may include 1 unit of Servitors for each Tech Marine or Master of the Forge in your army. These selections do not take up force work. No, they're just crappy stuff. The only thing they have is servo arm. So, okay. So that's pretty cool, because Servitors have a servo arm. You're going to get a +1 modifier for them. Now, if you wanted to bring a Master of the Forge, and then you can only include... you can include 5 Servitors for each Master of the Forge in your army, or for each Tech Marine. So instead of bringing a Tech Marine, you bring a Master of the Forge with... You only need 4 Servitors. So 130 points, and you need a 1 up to repair vehicles. So think about that as a viable choice. I certainly will, because 130 points for rolling a 1 up to repair a vehicle is pretty nice, because they all have servo arms, but they all also have mind lock. So you just gotta keep them with that Master of the Forge to not have to roll that, I believe. But yeah, that's it for the HQs. Sorry this video took so long again, but next video we'll be talking about the troops. Should be a shorter video because there's only a couple of them for this codex. But that's it for the HQs in the new 6th edition Space Marine Codex. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you do. Just thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.